Well, welcome everybody for our next watch through of Firefly. We're getting close to the end now, MauLer.
No,
It's
my
not too
God.
long. Yeah, no. Oh, jeez. Yeah, this is us. We are going to be talking this episode about episode number 12, which is The Message.
Oh my God.
And I'm not talking about The Message, like, the one that I talk about many times in my YouTube videos. It's a good message this time around. But yeah, like this episode I really liked. I think
Shockingly, it's another good one.
I know, but this and the next one, which is what Heart of Gold, they both have a similar template in that they both have one really good action sequences in it, really funny moments that genuinely made me laugh out loud, some great little character moments, some good character work and development, and both have really nice poignant endings as well. Like they've got a broadly similar structure.
I can see that, yeah.
Which is real neat, and I just really appreciate this one. This is like if I was just asked for, hey, give us a sort of a good representative Firefly episode that will provide something for everyone, and it's just almost like a bottle episode. This is one that I would pick for sure.
It's funny you say that. I'm pretty sure that's the logic for why Whedon and the team decided the final episode would be the final episode. When we get to that one day, I'll mention there's like one or two continuity errors as a result, but they decided the episode 14 was the most Firefly episode of all the Firefly episodes, so they put it at the end. That's what they wanted to do.
Interesting.
I'm with you. I mean, to me, all 14 are kind of they're just really fucking good. It's just a really solid season.
It is. It's something that I've come to appreciate. The more I've watched it, and just that consistency, episode after episode, just delivering time and time again. I think as well with this one, the dialogue just really seemed to be polished in this one. I genuinely appreciated it. I think we should probably start watching it, and then
let's start watching it. Talk a bit.
You've heard me prattle on enough about it. Let's get right into it. So, if you guys at home are watching this and you've got a copy of the episode ready to go, we'll all watch it together. So get your player all fired up, whether you're sailing the high seas or watching it on Blu-ray or whatever. And we'll start in 3, 2, 1, go.
Getting their DVD players going.
Yeah, whirling into action. It's an interesting start to this as well, right? Because they're talking about the proof of aliens existing in the galaxy, and it's like it just occurred to me when I watched this, like you never actually see aliens in this show.
Nope, they've not done that, and
that's really cool.
I like it as well for just it's an excuse to go to a place like this because there's loose continuity, right, with all these episodes, and that we're trying to sell that the Lassiter, right, still as a team, so they're on a market, and it's just like gives you an excuse to just have a wacky, crazy place, some random exposition about what little things go on in this world, and then character moments.
Yeah,
which I think Firefly is excellent at. They're like initial 5 minutes of an episode, they'll give you just pieces of everyone.
Well, yeah, like these guys are now advancing a little bit. They're on a little date together, and he completely screws it up.
That's the theme of their relationship. They keep getting closer and closer. It's more of a 3 steps forward, 2 steps back every time with Simon because he keeps fucking it up.
It's so frustrating as well because like she's not a difficult person to please.
No, she is not.
Basically got an open goal. It's like just be nice to her, say nice complimentary things, and get her occasional gifts or whatever, and she will be happy. She doesn't need much, and he still fucks it up.
Always love the way that they make it happen with him though. Like this one's a great example of just like we're having fun, we'll laugh. It's Violet is like, yeah, well, it's not like I could have a chance with literally any other girl. So
yeah,
it's like wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously like he's not meaning to hurt her. It's not intentional. It's just like he's being very honest with her and saying all the wrong things because he's not great at this stuff.
Yeah, it's a matter from his the motive and intent of him saying the things are never meant to hurt her, but he's just he's kind of an idiot with how they sound.
Yeah.
Like he's doing analysis right now.
Yeah. I like how like every time it cuts back to her, she's smiling a little bit less. And then it's like, okay, yeah.
Gail loves to hear that she's not special.
Yeah. It's like I'm just picking you by default, really.
Yeah, not the first time he's done this.
There's that little Chinese insult there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great line from Wash there as well.
I just can't not love Alan Tudyk. He always knows how to play the character.
Yep.
This is another good line as well. Is this someone you are good at talking to?
Yeah.
And this is kind of interesting logic for why it's not actually gonna, set them up forever, because it's actually hard to sell a famously high-priced item.
Exactly. Yeah. Something that's infamous as well. Like, yeah, you're gonna have a pretty small pool of buyers for something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like if you stole the Mona Lisa, it's like and tried to sell it in the black market. It's like, well, there's not that many people who are going to be able to afford it, and
to take on that kind of pressure.
Yeah, because it's like, what are you going to do? Like, show it to your friends? Like, they're gonna...
Yeah, these two's relationship in these next two episodes is definitely
they go through some interesting stuff here. Yeah, this part, particularly in Heart of Gold.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely an episode where River gets sidelined again. Like, I mean, you get a little scene here, but that's pretty much all you got.
Yeah, I think Jane just said the girl's a mind-reading genius, which is something he learns in the final episode. Not yet, but if you need... Like, yeah, I know, that's good shit.
He kind of forgets, like, there's a little bit more money there for you.
But if you need the continuity to function as is, I think it was discovered that she's got some kind of psychic ability from one of the crew members before, so you can just imagine someone told Jane off screen or something.
Yeah. It's great. He can't even fucking read properly.
I love his hat, by the way.
It's great, yeah, and he sticks with it throughout the episode as well.
Well, right at the end, the guy like the hat looks stupid. He's like, no, fucking awesome. It's intimidating.
Yeah, don't they describe it as like a man who wears that as a man who fears nothing?
Yeah. Damn straight. And yeah, what a way to kick off the episode. It's just like, here's a corpse. You're like,
Yeah, it's great, yeah. And it's great you get that little flashback to their war experiences.
Yeah.
There's a bit in that genuinely had me laughing out loud.
Was it the don't let them know where you are thing?
Yeah. It's just, the timing of it is so perfect.
It's the tonal balance shit, man. This DNA ended up all blended and pooped out into modern Marvel and a lot of modern projects. Unfortunately, they don't know how to do it anymore. Like, that was a good example. We've just got this body, everyone's staring at it really seriously, and then Jade just says, "Why'd you guys order a dead body?" Like, it's funny because there's ways to balance all this stuff. I've talked about it before. I know we both have. It's just like it's the perfect, like, is it a line Jane would totally say?
Yes.
You got that's like a key at first, not to blend everyone such that they all say this shit all the time.
It's when Simon's trying to do an autopsy on him and he just leaps up and starts attacking him. And then Jane, instead of helping, just watches it and he's like, it's pretty spry for a corpse.
I mean, dude, when I watched this show with Mel, he said that he just can't resist. Jade is probably his favorite character besides Mal.
Yeah. It's just, his delivery is great. And
he's funny as fuck.
Yeah, I love his attitude.
And you do get the layers to him of just what kind of allegiance he has and how far he's willing to go in terms of his selfishness.
Yep. Well, we saw that in the episode where he was willing to sell out Simon and River.
It's good
and
shit.
Yeah, he got punished for that one.
Jonathan M. Woodward is the soldier in this episode, and he's also in Buffy and Angel.
Was he good in Buffy and Angel?
I think so. I don't want to say exactly what kind of character he plays in both of them, but he's only in both of them briefly.
Right.
But I mean, you've seen this episode. What do you think of him as an actor?
Yeah, I think he's pretty good. Yeah, because obviously he can do this sort of deadpan comedy routine really well here. Like I love, like this for example, where he seems almost like an incompetent rookie when he gets saved and stuff, but like he's got like some good witty quips, comebacks and stuff. So he's not completely useless. And then towards the end when he's like a desperate man, like taking Kaylee hostage and stuff. Yeah, he plays it pretty well. I liked it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like this episode actually puts him through several modes, and he does them all really well.
Yeah.
I have a very strong feeling that if this show had gone on, they probably would have had like a couple of episodes that either do flashbacks or like a full-on war episode.
I think so, yeah. I mean, these little bits are fine. Like, obviously, they're going to be higher budget because you have action sequences and stuff. But this sets the scene pretty nicely.
I'm quite fond of him. I don't know. I like the pressure of the war, finding out more about it, and Zoe and Mal in this scenario helps bolster everything you see of them in the future as well.
Yep. Here we go. It's just the look in her face, like, here he is.
Other schools of thought.
This is what I mean. Like this episode in particular really stuck out with me. The dialogue just felt particularly sharp. Really funny when it needed to be, but also really insightful at times.
Yeah,
and really poignant at times.
I mean, I would give the compliment to Firefly broadly. I think the dialogue is excellent throughout. It's Mutant Enemy at their top, which they're like one of my favorites for nailing this sort of stuff. It's all the lines have purpose. They're all to tell you what people are thinking and feeling, and a lot of it's very witty, but suitably witty. You don't want it. Like this was the criticism Joss Whedon got at his height of popularity, was that he's too clever.
Yeah, imagine that.
It's not a bad criticism to have, I guess. What a great line in retrospect, eh?
Oh, yeah. Like when they were talking about their sergeant, how he'd lost his mind, and it's like he kept talking about how he needed to go back and find his arms. It's like he's not even been shot.
I know that we mention it almost every episode, but I just can't get enough of Mal's ability to go from comedic to serious. He's not just the character, the actor, and everything about him.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like, whether it's here in the middle of a war or whether it's like, leading the crew on the Serenity, he's ultimately a humanitarian who does actually care about the well-being of people around him. And he's trying to keep the people around him alive as long as he can. Even in a war like that, which is obviously just a bit of a meat grinder.
Well, when he, shoots the second time, or rather shoots him for the first time, but still the kill shot on Tracy, the face he's got on is particularly serious.
Yes. Jane just being the mercenary as always. It's like, where's the angle for us? We don't make money out of this.
There's an exchange. I can't remember. I think it's next episode that I really like where he says, "What's the benefit for us?" And then Book says, "The benefit is for the ladies who like desperately need our help. You know, there is no benefit for us." So then Jay just goes, "That's what I said." Like, you know, try to point out there is no benefit if it doesn't benefit us. It's just.
I was thinking more about the moment where it's like, we need to help these people, and it's like, I'm not interested. And then Mal just goes, "They're whores," and he's like, "I'm in."
I'm in. Not wasting any moments.
No.
And again, like, I don't know, man, this is just a really, really well crafted episode to have. This is his fake message to convince them to do something that he thought they'd be like sap enough to do. And then as the episode goes on, it ends up being a message he actually needs them to pay attention to.
Yes. And it's the closing, dialogue for the episode, which just it becomes, like I say, is a very poignant ending for this, like a small scale story in a lot of ways. Just a nice little self-contained episode that just takes you on that little emotional journey and makes you feel a whole bunch of things in a very constrained period of time.
It's what gets said about the best of Doctor Who episodes, which I think is just should be said about most TV episodes in general, but it feels like it's almost movie in terms of this whole story getting told, but it does it way quicker.
Yeah.
Like this episode goes through a whole series of major like events really quite fast and in a dense way, but it doesn't, I think, overstay or over like complicate in any way.
It doesn't, and it doesn't feel particularly rushed either, which is always impressive, because sometimes it can feel like things are just sprung on you. It's just like to get the plot moving or whatever. We need certain things to happen. It just feels natural, a natural progression for an episode like this.
And I like that after that recording, the whole team don't need convincing to do this. They're pretty much on board.
Even Jane took his hat off as a mark of respect.
Because you really don't expect the episode to go the way that it does. You'd assume that this is going to be broadly what we're dealing with, which is the actual body.
Yeah. It's funny, this actor here, I feel like I recognize him, but I don't know from where.
He is in other stuff, but I can't place him myself. This is rough, by the way, as a threat. I've always found it so like immediately horrifying that they just start spraying the oil on him and they got a match and they're just like, we're just gonna burn you if you don't.
Yeah, it's great.
We say it's like, holy shit.
Pretty effective. It's a great line of threats as well. Like, imagine how ugly you are. Well, think about how ugly your rapist is going to be in prison.
I mean, shit. There's something that I wouldn't mind referencing, but it's in the last episode, so we'll get there. It's I guess what the broad thing I was going to say is just sometimes they come out with lines where you're like, oh shit, that feels a little edgier than you're allowed to be.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy though that you're like just a handful of hours, maybe like 3 away from being completely caught up with Firefly, with everyone else?
I'm not as happy about that as you might think, because like,
no, I wouldn't have thought.
That's it. I'm at the end. Yeah, it's gotten to the point now where like when we do these watch throughs and like that intro theme tune just kicks in, I get this nice feeling inside where I'm just like, yeah, I feel like I'm in a happy place now. I'm just enjoying this.
Man, that is so close to a grisly fucking end.
It's a good, effective threat.
Yeah, you can tell they've done this before.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff.
Ad break. That is a great way to break for an ad as well.
Yeah.
Right there.
But no, yeah, I completely get what you mean. There is a comfortability with a show like this. If they kept this up for several seasons, you would just put it on and be happy. Like you'd be like, yay. Oh, keep a lookout. To the right, there's a shot you're going to see. Can you see that carbonite statue?
Oh, yeah.
Little Han Solo there on his shelf.
Because it's a soft focus on it, so you probably miss it.
Yeah.
That's neat. Interesting. She's listening to this.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed to hit everybody, as Book points out in this sequence, right? Death hits everyone different, makes them think about different things. I quite like Jane's reaction as he wants to overcompensate with living.
Yeah. Again, it fits perfectly with him, with his mentality.
Like this Book's face, just like, really?
That's a scowl right there. It pretty much sums him up, doesn't it? It's like, I'm probably not going to be an old man. That's the kind of life that I've chosen. Might as well enjoy the most of it while it lasts.
Okay.
This is great, this cut here when they're all laughing. This is what I mean, man. Like, a different show might make a moment like that seem really disrespectful or just hackneyed or whatever, but it just fits perfectly with the tone of this. And it makes sense. Like, they're sharing stories about this guy that were funny, and like that's how you honor someone's life.
It's so key. I mean, the primary like aspects you have to get right, the writing and the actors, and both are just nailed. They give them a really good story, a believable one that does end funny, and then you get them to respect the weight of all of it, the comedic side, and then they do the thing which is in a lot of stories, which is in real life, where you laugh and you sort of acknowledge the story, good stuff, and then there's that quiet moment afterwards where everyone just thinks about what's gone, sort of thing.
Yes. Yeah, I still think back to, I think it was the first episode where like it seems like Kaylee's been killed like by a gunshot wound, and it's like Simon has this big, slow motion run into the operating room, and like you think that she's gone, and then it just cuts to them like laughing and joking in the bridge. Like, it's just it's great stuff.
This is it's a bit of a lost art, the ability to actually like avoid tonal whiplash, to know when to do those cuts. Because that's the thing, the show does want to benefit from having fun, making you laugh, but also making you sad.
Yeah, it walks that interesting line where it does the unexpected to, and I hate to use the term subvert your expectations, but that's exactly what it does. Before that had all the negative connotations, but they still ultimately deliver that satisfying emotional payoff later in a way that does feel sincere. It's like it has fun with, doing the very classic expected thing, does something slightly different, but still gets to the same destination ultimately, and doesn't make it feel really contrived and shit. It's autopsy time.
Oh dear. But yeah, since we've got now, they're essentially smuggling something without having realized it, with the complication of it being an old wartime buddy that they feel the respect needs to be maintained of like, you know, doing his final wish. Got these guys chasing them. It's like we've got enough to now, you know, sail us through the rest of the episode in terms of content. But
yeah,
they got more to add, significantly more.
Well, yeah, I mean, it caught me by surprise when this first happened. Again, superb point to go for an ad break.
Okay.
Jane just not helping in the slightest. She's pretty cool considering.
Come naked.
This bit is superb.
He got all corpseified.
That's up there with blubberous.
Yeah.
Some great Firefly-isms. I'm gonna carry that with me for the rest of my life.
Was it cold?
It's a pretty bold move, like having all your internal organs sucked out and replaced by these like
hyper organs,
super amazing ones. Yeah, and it's interesting how, you know, Kaylee forms this bond with him. You know, compared to her relationship with Simon, obviously, like feeling a bit spurned by him. It's interesting that she would.
Yeah, and it's just
he's
so much easier to build it with properly, right? But the reality is that he's actually not being as honest with her in any way as Simon always is.
It's very trusting, though, to assume that they would actually give him his organs back and not just like kill him once he's served his purpose.
It's just terrifying. Like the whole process is just terrifying. It's like, oh yeah, I get my organs back. I think something that you benefit from having seen a lot of Firefly up to this point too is that as much as he was with them in the war, he's obviously had to go through a lot of shit in real life that he does the life outside of the war, which he says he never quite figured out. And we know this crew, we know Mal really well, and we know that he would never give him up to these pirate types, you know, like the police, bounty hunters, whatever they are. but he doesn't feel that confidence.
Yes,
and it kills him essentially.
Yeah, and you just think there's there's this crazy alternate reality where he becomes part of the like watch his reaction there. It's like, oh yeah, he's not been privy to all this. Yeah, where
he ain't dead.
Yeah, where he could have become like a useful member of the crew and had a different future for himself.
Yeah, no, to me it's a bit of a bold storyline because it's really tragic what happens, but it's totally easy for it to have happened, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's time for his chase scene.
Always like an opportunity to show that Wash is a good pilot.
Yeah.
So the thing is, the other challenge they have for this show is always having each of the 9 fucking main cast have like a reason to be there.
Yep. I recall this bit actually looking quite good as well, because sometimes the special effects can be a bit ropey on Firefly, but like this sequence I remember being quite decent.
Yeah. It's different results at different times. I mean, obviously it'd be neat for you to see Serenity because that's where they get their big budget.
Yeah. It's an interesting way of phrasing it. Sweeties.
Yeah. Yeah, this is super important. This is them figuring out their...
Yeah.
Because it's crazy, right? It's like an easy to solve problem here, but Tracy doesn't understand that because he acts too quickly.
Yeah. I do like this as well, where they just fly overhead.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple solution.
He's like, oh shit, I didn't expect that.
I think it's just a good example of completely overthinking and not going for the obvious option of what they can do. They've tracked you this far. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, for the benefit of the people who are watching this with us, like this is just a big sort of VFX chase sequence. Yeah, there's not really a huge amount we can say over it.
See, that's the thing. He's like, she's actually serious because they've done that several times where they've come up with some crazy plan that's not quite what it seems, which we're familiar with too. It wouldn't make sense for an episode to just end with Mal gives up the guy and then they take him and that's that. We'd be like, oh, you know that
Yeah.
something else will happen, that they've got some other kind of plan. But from his perspective, he doesn't really have any assumption about that working that way.
No, and it does beg the question as well. Like, if it was a no-win situation where it's like, no, the lives of your crew and your ship are at stake now, you have to give this guy up or they will die. Mal would do that.
Yeah, well, the way you would probably want to write that, my guess is that he probably does give him up, but then it's like, we're chasing them. Like, we'll get him back. We're not going to let him go, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they've taken the time to prove it, but Mal would likely give his life for any of them if that choice ever happened.
Yeah.
Which is such an interesting aspect to his character because he'll be easily willing to kill any of them if they put the rest of them in danger at any time, too.
Yeah, it's like the kind of collective whole, I suppose. That's where his responsibilities lies. And it's almost like, yeah, if they're not there for him and the rest of the crew, then he won't be there for them. That's like the bond of trust that he maintains.
Yeah, because their plan is still a bit risky, right? Because it might not work, but it's better than nothing.
And there he goes.
Yeah, and I think the episode wants to make the point. This is a mistake anyone can make.
Well, for sure. Like, if you don't know how they operate, then yeah, it's a misunderstanding ultimately, miscommunication.
Yeah, now he just starts panicking and completely unraveling.
Again, sorry for a little bit quiet here. It's just like, this is a really fucking good scene. It's just nice.
Every line is excellent. It's being performed brilliantly. It's all unique history between these two, as well as all of the current mistakes that have been made, and then these revelations about his choices.
Notice how his voice breaks there just a little bit when he says
feels
that.
like absolute shit having to kill him.
It goes back to what you said earlier, like Nathan Fillion's ability to switch from like glib and sarcastic to funny to stone cold serious in the space of a single episode, the space of a single scene, is an impressive piece of work as an actor.
Perfect casting. Yeah, I very much enjoy the what are you now, what are we now, Mal? Like the sort of you can never come home from a war, it changed him forever. He could never live in the real world sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, another layer to how Mal's found it so difficult is he just, killed someone that's not too different from himself. Fact is, like, they are at the complete disadvantage here for the guns.
Well, yeah, actually, yeah. There are only 3. And like pragmatically speaking, it might have made sense for Mal and the others to just gun them down, but I guess they don't need to.
They always prefer not a risk of. I prefer not to risk anybody if they can, right?
Yeah, and I suppose if they're federal troops, ultimately, that they might provoke a reaction, like the fact that these guys do end up going missing. There's going to be some kind of search for them, and then that could lead them back to the Serenity. So,
yeah, another aspect of his performance here, I love that Nathan Fillion is like almost constantly staring directly at him. Just feels like a you would have been responsible for him as a soldier, and then as his friend, and doing all of this for him, and simultaneously as the man who killed him, essentially.
Yeah, and particularly how he's led troops in war. Obviously, during the conflict itself, you get the feeling he's done this many times with people.
Seems a pretty deliberate choice as well. The 2 shots, one from each of them.
Yeah.
So apparently when they were shooting this, they knew they were cancelled, this episode.
Oh, really?
When the fellow, I think he's called Greg Edmondson, wrote the music for this funeral scene, he told Whedon that he wasn't saying goodbye to the character Tracy, he was saying goodbye to the show. That's what this music is meant to mean.
That is rough. You can only imagine how demoralizing it must have been on set, to be shooting scenes like this, like knowing that the show doesn't have a future, it's been cancelled, but you kind of have to get on and do your job and shoot the remaining footage that you need.
Yeah, and I mean, it just must have seemed a ubiquitous injustice to like everyone involved. Like, why? Why wouldn't you get more? And it's like, it's not happening.
You know, it's interesting. When Farscape was cancelled, there's a scene with Chiana, right, where they go back to Earth, and it's like the reaction of like people on Earth to like the fact that aliens exist and we're not alone in the universe and stuff like that. And there's a scene with her, like, kind of, I think she's like crouched down in like a shower room or something, and someone's trying to record her, like, to get an interview with her. And she's that was the day that they'd found out, and the actress, I can't remember her name, she was like all the emotion I was feeling there about having to say goodbye to everyone and this show being over, I just brought it out in that scene. And I remember even watching it at the time thinking, God, she's really going for it in what feels like a pretty, normal scene of a character just being a little bit messed up and a bit traumatized. And for that reason, that's just the cutthroat world, I guess, of TV. But yeah, anyway, that was a bit of a tangent I went off on. But yeah, as for this episode, the message, excellent episode. Made me laugh. Had some great, chase scenes, some great action, some excellent character moments, and just a neat little self-contained episode with a nice, poignant ending to it.
I agree. It's really, really solid and comfortably fits in with the selection of episodes. But you only got 2 left, Drinker.
I know. And, well, we're soon going to be plunging into the next one. That's true. But, yeah, for the message, can't really fault it. Had a great time watching this one. And it's going to be bittersweet when we get to that final episode, and particularly once we watch Serenity and say goodbye. But what a now.
Well, you could still get excited for that, because that, as you may have heard, is usually agreed upon to be the best Firefly content anyway. So, and you haven't yet met a certain character that you're going to love, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But, well, that is our little summary and our little watch through of the message. And finally, I get to talk about a good kind of message on my channel, so that's nice. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed us talking about it a little bit, and we will catch you on the next episode of our Firefly watch through. But that is all we've got for today. So go away now.
Bye-bye.